Hey guys, in our journey towards fostering a more compassionate society, we have to strive to understand, empathize, and be proactive advocates for individuals who are navigating unique situations and challenges. Because basically, in the grand tapestry of life, everybody's got their something. So today we have a remarkable guest who personifies resilience and the power of advocacy. Athena St. Juste, kid, is a trailblazer, not only living with Tourette's, OCD, ADHD, and epilepsy, but also leveraging her experience to raise awareness, break down misconceptions, and empower others. Athena is an advocate and an inspiration. She's helping others find their voices, even when their circumstances might try to silence them. Today, we are super fortunate to have her on our show, and I can't wait to talk with her. Here we go. Athena, I am so happy to talk with you.
I'm super ecstatic about being here. Thank you for inviting me, Michael J. This is making my day already. Hello, everybody.
Well, I am so glad that I got to meet your wife, and that was like really nice. And I'm gonna like pick up an English accent for the rest of the show. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you probably have a group of English people right now.
Okay.
Speaking towards the screen. Hi, everybody in England.
Excellent. Let's start out talking about you. Like, tell us just a little bit about like your journey with Tourette's, OCD, ADHD, epilepsy. That is a lot of stuff. So
let me tell you.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what I realized? Before I even disclose about that, I just want to say I realize that everybody in this world has a challenge, don't they?
They got their something.
Yeah, everybody's got their something. What's important is to just identify what your challenge is, what the coping skills are to overcome it, and to get going, because life is great. But for me, my journey started, I've always been what you could call a peculiar child. When I was about 10 years old, the school asked for me to be assessed due to me looking up in the air very often, seeming spaced out, spinning around in circles, touching the ground. Yeah, but I always had the answers when they would ask me questions in the classroom. So they were just like, what's going on with her? They told my parents, and the assessment revealed that I had Tourette Syndrome. Tourette's is something that is with me all day, every single day. Right now, while we're speaking, I am crunching my toes just to have an outlet.
So now that's like a symptom. Most people think about Tourette's and they think about people blurting out words and doing things like that. Is the crunching toes is similar, the same?
Well, what you're describing is a specific aspect of Tourette's that only affects, I believe it's under 20% of individuals with Tourette's. It's called coprolalia. Okay. And when individuals engage in blurting out things, sometimes it's cursing or sometimes it's just random words, they can't help it. It literally just blurts out involuntarily. I don't have a very strong aversion to doing that. I do blurt certain things, which I don't know if I should share here, but but I'm able to keep it at bay. For the most part, if you met me, my Tourette's is considered mild, and I can hide it from you by channeling the energy. For instance, right now, by me crunching toes, you won't see any twitches up here above the neck. So you would never know that I have Tourette's.
No, you would not. And I do not. So I'm taking your word for it that you do.
Right on.
Now, so Tourette's is just part of it, right? You also have the OCD and ADHD and epilepsy?
Yeah. So epilepsy happened. I was about 19 years old. I wasn't necessarily taking the best care of myself. Like a lot of girls that are in that age group, you want to fit in with society, and I wanted to be slender. I wasn't eating properly. And I believe that, as well as the pressures of going into college and having a heavy caseload and working, it caused a lot of stress, which caused me to have a grand mal seizure. I remember I collapsed in the parking lot of the McDonald's on Deer Park Avenue in Long Island.
Okay, that's specific.
Right, isn't it? Yeah, and I had an aura. I was thinking about the trailer to the movie Something About Mary, and that was the last thing I remembered. Woke up in the hospital.
Movie ever. Yes.
Yeah.
You woke up in the hospital after thinking about Something About Mary. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I lost hours of time, and at that point, it was just considered a fluke. But then I proceeded to continue to have back-to-back seizures, which, all of these reasons and the fact that I got through them, it's why I have created the business that I am running now.
How did you get through them? What happened? What did you do?
Wow, it was a long journey. I had to take two medications, Depakote and Neurontin. I was on about 14 pills a day. I probably didn't really leave my house for several months. I had a neurologist, but I also did my own holistic homework. Although I don't recommend it for everyone, I became a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
I developed diet, and the seizures almost stopped overnight. For me, that is what worked for me personally. Always see a physician, guys.
That is something, and I will tell you that I have talked to other people in my life and on the show who have taken up the vegetarian lifestyle and or vegan, and maladies that they have gone away just because of the food they eat. And yeah, don't stop taking the meds, but eating better food definitely helps.
Oh, right on. There's so much preservatives in a lot of the foods that we purchase at the supermarket. So it's important, if you are going to eat meat, to eat organic meats and to try to eat fresh products.
Yeah. How did your life change? Like when you found that you had these different symptoms and things, did they start treating you different? Did you have to act different?
Well, I'm going to just say that I've probably always been considered a strange child. Um, I've always been different. When I was younger, I did try to fit in. I would try to be, I guess, what was considered cool. And it really didn't work out. If you know me from my childhood, big shout out to you. You know I was a strange girl.
Yeah.
But what happened was I found my confidence. I started to use my challenges as powers.
Okay.
Yeah. Tourette's and OCDs, ADHD, all of those kind of diagnoses fall on the neurodiverse
Mm-hmm.
category, which means that your brain is wired differently than someone who is typical or who doesn't have these kind of um, challenges or these kind of diagnoses. So I just realized that I think differently. And before there was a lot of information out there, there really wasn't any. I learned how to cope organically. I realized that sometimes my attention span is not that of others.
Um,
Yeah, so I accommodate myself.
did it make a difference, like after having a diagnosis and putting a label on whatever it is? Did that make things easier or harder, or did you start to like close in on yourself? Like if you tell a kid like you're a genius, all of a sudden they'll start thinking that. But if you tell them you're stupid, that happens. What happened once you found out your diagnosis?
That's a good point. You know what? The first diagnosis that I received was Tourette's.
Okay.
I was about 10. I really didn't think much of it, to be honest with you. I didn't know really what it meant. I just knew that I was considered different at school. I was bullied a lot. You cope with it. You go home, you talk to your parents about it. I know eventually I was put into a Catholic school. I'm not sure if I was put into a Catholic school because the public school kids could be a little bit harsh towards me. I did have my small circle of friends as well. That really was helpful.
Okay. And so the friends helped you get through whatever it was, and they didn't care, or they just knew and they did care. What happened?
They didn't care. And honestly, regarding the Tourette's, I don't know how common it was that people knew what Tourette's was then. They would just say, "Why are you doing that? Why are you twitching? Why are you like rocking? What are you doing over there?"
I will tell you, rocking is fun. That's why we do it, because it's like fun to rock, right?
It's soothing. Haven't you ever hugged somebody and then did the rock?
Yeah, of course. Of
It's a
course.
therapeutic thing. Yeah. I mean, for me, I kind of learned how to make my ticks, or some people have stims, which is almost the same thing. I made them work for me. So now instead of doing something that someone would stare at me about,
Uh-huh.
maybe I would be overexcited about something. I'd say, woohoo. So now I just got something out right in front of everybody. Look at that.
Okay.
You just think I'm a party girl, but I'm letting my Tourette's out.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So now you work with people that also have Tourette's and other, what's the right word? Not, what's the right word so that we are politically correct?
Yeah, I would say neurodiversities.
neurodiverse conditions, right?
Absolutely.
Um, okay, so what? How do you work with them? What do you do when somebody comes to you initially and says, "I've got a problem," or do they even think they have a problem?
Yeah. I would say most people that come to me, it's voluntary because
Mhm.
they find me either on my Psychology Today ad or maybe through word of mouth. There was a point where I worked for a cable company that had thousands of employees, and they all know that I was in school at that time. So I would say between word of mouth and my Psychology Today ad is how I probably get most of my clients. They
Uh-huh.
come to me just mentioning what their dilemma is. The first thing that I always ask is, what is your presenting challenge? Why are you visiting today? How can I help you? And usually
Uh-huh.
they'll explain it, and I look for key words that explain what's going on. Not all my clients are neurodiverse, but about half of my caseload is.
Uh-huh. And so people come to you and they say, do they say, "I have a problem," or other people think I have a problem, or I don't fit in? How does that conversation go?
And it's funny that you say that. It pretty much runs the gamut, but I would say 9 times out of 10, the person thinks that they're the one with the problem. And part of what I do through positive psychology and through positive speech
Mhm.
is I talk to them about how they don't have a problem. They just need to learn how to navigate in a world that is not created for people with neurodiversities. Hopefully
Okay.
that will change one day with all of the psychoeducation, including what I do as a life coach.
I think that the way you just put that makes it more positive, and like people can see their differences as a superpower, right? They're the X-Men, and everybody else wish they could have like cool eyes and they can fly and all that, right?
Michael, I literally look at it as a superpower. Neurodiversities are superpowers. You got autism, guess what? You have the ability to hyper focus on something. How many people don't want to be Elon Musk?
Mm, right. I'll take the cash too, by the way.
Hello, right? Can we share it? Yeah, ADHD, you have the ability to enjoy novelty. And when you hyper focus, there's nothing that can stop you in your passion.
No,
There's so many benefits of these
you
neurodiversity.
see, that makes sense, and I think people look at the neurodiversity as weird and different and like to be shunned. And if you put it out the way that you just did, as it's a superpower, it's like, yeah, you could do good in school because you can focus while everyone else is like screaming around you.
Boom.
Yeah.
Michael, 100% I agree with you. One of my clients is in their teens
Uh-huh.
and they have a very strong case of ADHD where it's hard to focus. We just work through the coping skills. And also, a lot of times, I show the individual how smart he is because he thinks because he's different, he's less than. When the truth is, he's tops. He has such a large slew of topics that he likes to talk about. He's so intelligent. And when he thinks nobody's looking, he excels in any topic that he has extreme interest in. That boy is
That,
great.
that's great. Now that I think that's another thing that you just said, because I remember reading a while back about the kid that can like name every baseball player and every stat and every thing that they
Yes.
know about baseball, but you ask them about, math or the weather, it's like, I don't know, can't do that.
Right. So you're describing a splintered skill set. A lot of people with neurodiversities have splintered skill sets,
Uh-huh.
specifically ADHD and autism. A lot of times they experience where they could tell you, if you just give them a date, they could tell you what day of the week that was, even if it's in 1915. Or if you ask them about one topic, they'll tell you everything there is to know, but they might not be able to tie their shoelaces.
That the date thing, because I've seen somebody who could do that. How?
Mhm.
How do you even know?
I guess you find out just through experience. There's a couple of very nice pages on Instagram where people will display their savant relatives. There's one, I think it's my brother Maxie. That's a
Mhm.
really good Instagram. That's a young man that you give him a date, no matter when it is. He just in seconds can tell you that. It's very rare, just so you know, and it is a stereotype that people are like Rain Man or that
Uh-huh.
they have this savant skill. I have a cousin that is a savant as well. He can draw you with a pencil. He actually has a piece of art up in the Smithsonian. Shout out to Jerome.
Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing, but he cannot have a conversation with you. but he can draw you like it's a photograph. That's very rare, by the way. Not everyone with autism has this savant skill, and it's a stereotype that a lot of people think it's true, but it's not. It's rare.
Now, why have we figured out, when I say we, I mean all the scientists out there who are not me, figured out how, like, I'm sure there are people who are going like, I would love to be a savant artist or pianist or mathematician. And what is it that makes the superpower come out?
You know what's funny? It's really still not known. There's so much research that's still being done for autism. Perfect example is a lot of people still don't realize that females can be autistic. It blows my mind. A lot of little girls go undiagnosed. As far as savantism, some theories are just the way that the brain waves transfer. For instance, someone with autism usually has an enlarged amygdala, and sometimes a smaller frontal lobe, meaning that while impulses are harder to control and reasoning, creativity is at tops. And my theory is that for savants, a lot of the information, a lot of the neurons, a lot of the synapses are getting information in one specific area, which makes them a savant. It's like all of the energy is going there, and maybe they're receiving less energy in an area where you and I consider it effortless. We tie our shoes, we brush our teeth, but in there, they're maybe getting almost no information, or it's very hard for them. They're getting an overage of information going in just one area, which makes them amazing.
They are. Let's talk about amazing, because the thing that I really want people to get out of this is there are people all around who are diagnosed with, everything we've been talking about. And how should we approach, not how should we approach, how do we convince people to work with the others who are different from us, to be members of the society that we all want to be part of? How do we do that?
I love that question. Part of what I do as a life coach is I help individuals with neurodiversities integrate into society so that they can understand where neurotypical or where the average person is coming from when they speak to them or when they interact or at work. But the truth of the matter is, I truly believe that there should be a course for all those that are interested, for people that are not on the spectrum or are not neurodiverse, to learn from them. Because all it means for the most part, especially with the individuals that are considered higher functioning or need less supports, all that it truly means is that their brain is just wired differently. And if we could all just understand each other, what a beautiful world this would be. I think the answer is to seek psychoeducation. I think there should be a class either in high school or college. I think it should even be mandatory, where individuals just learn different ways of thinking than their own, because neurotypical is not the only way. Some of our geniuses, Einstein, Lincoln, the list is endless. There's so many people that were neurodiverse that have contributed to our society today greatly.
I would really love to see the term turned around so that when you hear that someone's neurodiverse, the first thing you think about is, oh my God, what's their superpower? Not, oh my God, what is their disability?
I love it. Or how about, instead of somebody going, oh, your kid is neurodiverse, I'm sorry. How about, congratulations?
Right. Like, I don't know that can happen. I think it's just a matter of making it in the media, in our newspapers, talking on shows like this. Let's talk about neurodiverse being that superpower as opposed to being a disability.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And, there are leaps and strides. I'll say it's getting much better, and people are less shunned for not only mental health challenges, but also neurodevelopmental challenges or differences. There are certain agencies out there specifically for people that need less supports, that are on the autism spectrum, so that they can go get employment. Because let me tell you, if it's a job where something is done over and over and over again, that could be anything from monotonous work to something like being an engineer. Somebody that's on the autism spectrum is someone that you want. They won't get tired. They'll be fixated on one topic, and they're going to do it perfectly and they're very honest people.
I love that. I love that. So, what we need is a job board, and it's like the superhero X-Men job board. And we talk about, like, if you're looking for an engineer that won't quit, here's who you need to hire. And maybe that's something to get out there.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually something I could add to my life coach skill set. So that's a good point.
I think you should add that right away. So what's the big idea that you want everyone to take away from this conversation we're having?
The big idea for me is just to let the world know that people with neurodiverse challenges are people. They don't need to be treated like a child.
Okay.
They don't need to be infantilized. They don't need to be disrespected. There should be no jokes at their expense. It's not someone's fault that they think different than you. And there's also nothing wrong. There's more than one way to be in this world. And if we were all one way, what a boring, monotone world this would be. Am I right?
I agree with you. I agree.
Snaps. Yeah, like this world is so beautiful. I think we have to learn more about humanity. I still see to this day. I mean, I'm glad that I have a job helping people, but it makes me sad that the reason is because a lot of people feel misunderstood.
Yeah.
So it's just important to know that your mom, a friend, the lady at the grocery store, the man down the block that wears mismatched colors that tells strange jokes. There's so many people out there that are neurodiverse that they don't even know it.
I think that's it. That's true.
Yeah. Do you know at this point, it was said, I believe, by the CDC that 1 in 22 people in certain areas is coming out as being diagnosed on the autism spectrum. Mm-hmm. It's really important to acknowledge that not only do we need to be kind and understand where somebody's coming from that is neurodiverse, but just know that there's a lot of people out there that don't know. They don't even know that they are neurodiverse or they're on the spectrum. There's a certain age group, like I was stating earlier, that girls were not diagnosed at all. So now you see a slew of people coming out. Who was that woman that won on American Idol? Susan Boyle.
Susan Boyle, yeah.
She didn't even know that she had autism until after she won.
I didn't even know until just now.
There it is. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, there was also someone on American Idol. I can't remember his name, and I'm sorry about that. But he won, and he had severe Tourette's. But when he sang, the Tourette's went away.
I don't remember that one, but I do remember Cody Lee.
That's who I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. Cody Lee was amazing. You would think he couldn't function at all, but when he sat down at the piano, magic happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a different expression, but it doesn't mean that a person is less capable than you just because they're like that. I started this life coaching business to give people a voice. There was times when I helped people that were in crisis. And what I realized 9 times out of 10 when someone was neurodiverse is they had gone into crisis because they felt misunderstood, they felt unheard, and they felt unimportant and unloved. That's the biggest message that I want to put across, is that everybody needs to feel like they matter. They need to feel loved and they need to feel important. So the next time that you see someone having a challenge, and not just you, Michael, I'm not coming at you, everyone, the next time that you see someone, they look like they're going through a challenge, show kindness. You never know what someone's going through or how they feel. And one thing that usually comes along with neurodiversities is an aspect that's called rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. What rejection, sensitivity, and dysphoria is an innate feeling that you're going to be rejected or that someone doesn't like you. A lot of my clients experience that. Sometimes I feel like that. We all feel like that.
Everyone feels like that at some point, but not as intense as someone who's on the spectrum, probably.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So kindness is key.
Excellent. I want to ask you some questions. I want to learn more about you too. Ooh. We're going to play a little game that I do with people called This or That. I'm going to give you 2 choices. You can pick one or the other, but not neither or both. And if for some reason you feel like you need to explain yourself, you can do that too. Let's start with some easy questions, like super easy, and then they're going to get harder and harder as we go along. Okay?
I'm ready. I'm ready for the challenge.
Easy one. Paperback or ebook?
Ooh, ebook all day.
I love ebooks, except I like audiobooks. Yeah.
I like to go on YouTube and find half of the books that I'm trying to read and just let them play themselves while I get ready for my day.
There we go. How about morning or night?
Oh. And I can only pick one, huh?
Yeah, one or the other, not neither or both.
Darn. You know what? I'm going to say night because I'm absolutely a night person. Half of the times, hey, I created my own business. I create my own schedule. If I don't have to
Okay.
wake up before 11, it's not happening.
Thank you. I think we're on the exact same schedule. How about urban or rural?
Oh, man. That is hard. That one's
Nice and
hard.
easy. Wait till they get harder.
All right. All right. I'm up for the challenge. Okay. I'm going to settle at rural, and I'll tell you why. Well, I live in Long Island, which is kind of a suburb. Suffolk County is like a suburb rural area, at least where I am. Probably about 2 towns away. You can easily see cows in the meadow. You know, horses are very close by, 1 town away. So with that said, I guess in a way I'm a country girl just
Yeah,
because
there you
I've
go.
grown up, more or less in Long Island. I love the city, but after all the hustle and bustle of the city, I like to come back and put my bare feet on the grass and connect with nature.
There you go. I had a whole show about connecting with the earth and letting the energy go through your feet, and it makes such a difference.
You heard about that too, Michael?
Yeah, and then they've got the mats that you can use if you're in the city that connect and ground you to the ground.
I didn't know that.
So, how about writing or speaking?
Ooh. I mean, I could talk, but I'm gonna say I like writing because I feel like sometimes my words are not gotten across exactly how I want them to be. Sometimes I get so much information in my mind, and what comes out is not that. And what I see in my head, I feel like you could see it too, but I know you can't really see it. So I like to write so you can really understand where I'm coming from and I can correct my mistakes.
Okay, how about meditative silence or calming music?
Calming music.
Yeah, there you go. Let's
Definitely.
let's get a little harder. How about confronting challenges head on or finding workarounds?
Woo! The honest answer or the political answer?
Well, the one that you feel.
Let's do the honest answer. I don't like confrontation. And I know that you should confront things head on. In a professional context, I do confront things head on because I know that if I don't, whether it be maybe an issue of attendance or signing a document or anything, I know that I need to confront those things head on to have a good relationship with my client. But outside of that, I don't like confrontation. So I will find a flowery way to say what I need to say because I don't feel like I should emote too much to someone about the way they are. We're all part of source. We're all, in my opinion, part of a greater situation. So because you're going through something or you're expressing yourself a different way than I would, I'm not going to judge you on that. I'm just going to express myself my way.
Excellent. Let me give you, this is a mid-level question about raising awareness or creating solutions.
Ooh. I can only do one, huh?
Yeah, one or the other.
Darn it. I really like raising awareness, but I really like creating solutions. I think creating solutions is what I'm going for.
Okay.
Yeah, I want people to know what to do to help themselves, and I want to help them figure it out.
How about compassion without understanding or understanding without compassion?
Ooh. Compassion without understanding all day.
Okay. Let's get a little harder. A world that tries to fix you or a world that accepts you but doesn't understand you?
Well, we're already in the second of the two, aren't we?
Well, I'm not sure we're at acceptance yet, right? But
we're working on it.
We're working on acceptance.
Yeah, we finally had Autism Acceptance Month. There has to be a neurodiversity month.
Okay. You should start that then.
Wow, that's a good idea, Michael.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming up with all kinds of ideas today.
Right? You're
Yeah.
wealth of knowledge. But what I will say is this. I think it's highly important that someone shows you compassion. Sometimes people don't understand where you're coming from, but compassion is key because at least they want to understand and they're kind. Kindness trumps everything else.
I will agree with that. How about a perfect memory or a vivid imagination?
A vivid imagination.
Yeah. I can't remember anything anyway, so give me more imagination.
There's some things I don't want to remember. Let me imagine it. It's better.
How about finding peace in solitude or finding strength in community?
Ooh. Okay. The reason why I will say finding peace in solitude is related to the very unsavory situation we all just came out of from 2020.
Okay.
A lot of people that I've helped in the past, in a work capacity, specifically people on the spectrum, they deteriorated because of COVID and being stuck in the house.
Uh-huh.
Some of them are still stuck there now because their programs haven't gone on again. Helping them strive in solitude would have really been helpful to them. And some people feel alone or lonely. What happens when you're older and your spouse dies?
Yeah, it's a good question, right?
It's important.
You know what I found out about this whole life thing is that because there is no manual and you only get to do things once, you should really be out there talking to a lot of people and figuring out what they did. And most of us don't do that until, oh yeah, I wish I'd known that before.
Absolutely. Hey, that's a benefit of this show. You can
I
see other
hope
people's
so.
perspectives.
I hope so. Last one. Advocating for one day to a global audience or advocating for a lifetime to those closest to you.
Ooh. A lifetime to those closest to me.
Okay. Maybe they'll become your, what do you call it? Apostles or disciples. They'll do both and they'll spread the word.
Yes, there was a time in my life when I was a teenager and I probably lost my mind for a second. I wanted to start something called Athenism. I've since gotten over that.
You might be doing it surreptitiously. You never know. So
Indeed.
definitely want people to stay in touch with you. And you've got your website. You've got successls.com that people can go to. Okay. You're on Instagram at success_life_skills_services. And they can find you at either one of those two places. I'm going to leave this on the screen so that people can find you. And I just want to thank you for being here. It's been awesome talking with you.
I want to thank you. This has been a great experience. This was my first podcast I've been invited to as a special guest. So I'm honored and thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting you, Michael J.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're out.